Hello, everybody. Welcome to the gaming marketplace, where you don't invest with your money, but with your time. And we are live. Hopefully, you guys can hear me just fine. I hope that you guys can hear me. It seems like you can. So let's see here. Let's make sure the music is still playing in the background. There you go. You guys can hear the music now. So yeah, how you guys doing? I'm back from having, after that other stream we had with Indominus, which was a lot of fun. And thank you, Sans, for letting me know that you can hear me. Great to see you. Great to see that you're back. And yeah, I was just having a little bit of issues. Apparently, I got banned from TikTok. Uh, don't know why. I don't know if it's because I was cursing when we were playing with Indominus. So I don't know if it's because of that, but I got suspended on TikTok. So we'll have to wait like 5 days to see if I can get unsuspended. Uh, but I guess I'm gonna have to like read up on their terms of service and stuff and see if that if it's cursing is not allowed at all in their platform. I'm not sure. I don't think like we were showing anything that I wasn't supposed to be showing. So, or maybe it's the way I was streaming it, like using restream and all that kind of stuff. Maybe, who knows? Like I honestly, it's very iffy. TikTok can be very weird. But regardless, we're still here. We're live on both Twitch and YouTube, so we should be more than fine right now. Hi, Rover. How you doing? Thank you for joining the stream. We're going to be talking about some games and checking their performances. So if you are interested in any particular game that you would like me to check out, drop it down in the comments and we can take a look at it. So yeah. Did you enjoy the collab? Since I didn't see the full thing live and I haven't had time to watch the VODs on both Indominus and on your side. Yes, I enjoyed I enjoyed it a lot. It was a lot of fun playing with Indominus. And I know that he plays a lot of horror games, so we're still in contact now. I'm trying to see if we can, we're striking a friendship between ourselves, and we'll see. We're searching for other games that we could play together and see if we can enjoy that kind of stuff in the future. But regardless, I do plan on maybe making that whole like Tuesdays is for gaming thing. And if I'm not playing with Indominus, then I'll be playing some other indie game myself. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see if we can play again. I'm a little bit busy in the next couple of weeks, but hopefully we can play again sometime next month. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Loved hanging out with Indominus. Great guy, funny guy. I really enjoyed it. So yeah. So without further ado, actually, I do want to pause because I don't know. I know this is like all about video games and all that kind of stuff, and I'm gonna make a little bit of a side tangent here. Not really related to video games for a bit. But my wife had exposed me to this one show that she's been obsessed with recently. And I had the displeasure of learning about that, about learning about everything that is involved in that show. And that show is called The Summer I Turned Pretty. All I want to say is that show made me want to gouge my eyes out. I am a full-on Conrad. I'm on Conrad's side. Nobody deserves Conrad. Okay? Not a single person. Everybody's flawed except Conrad. That this insecure guy that is Jeremiah, that thinks he's a man, and he's just like does everything wrong. Can't even tell. It's a mess. It's a mess. I cannot deal with this type of bullshit. I know I'm not the target demographic, but seeing, she showed me the most recent episode, and God, that's no, I cannot. Like, come on. Everybody's selfish. Nobody knows what they're doing. Nobody's thinking straight. It's just, I can't. It triggers me. So yeah. My wife had me watching that. It was a doozy, to say the least. Yeah. It is rough. It is rough. Because nobody thinks straight. Nobody's thinking straight on that thing, and I had to watch it. There's no rational adult in that series, except once again Conrad. Like, honestly, that's the only guy, and it doesn't make sense. He's like the answer, and it doesn't make sense that all the bullshit that happened, and it's just, you know, that was a little side tangent because I just had to say it. I mean, it's, once again, I'm not the target demographic, but it's so crazy. Like, why would you, why? Like, the way people do, and then like the other thing is like Conrad is actively being basically abused or blamed for everything just because he wasn't there, and it's just that shit makes Glitchtail look better. I don't know what Glitchtail is. I'm gonna be honest with you. I would have to check it out. But if it's anything like this, I don't know how and my wife loves, my wife and her sister love the show. They love watching it, and I don't understand how you could watch a show that just physically makes you, you know, quizzy. Blister is an animated series based off Undertale. Oh, okay. That is interesting because I really like Undertale. So maybe I'll check it out, but it's the first time I hear about it. I watch a lot of animated series, so I love animated series. I've been watching what is it called? The what is it called? The circus, the amazing circus, and I forgot the name, but yeah, I watched that one. It's a really good show, and I've also watched the other work from them, which is the Murder Drones. I think I said that correctly. Murder Drones. Both really good shows. Overall, no complaints. I really enjoyed both of those shows. The Amazing Digital Circus. Thank you very much, Sans. So, and Rover. So yeah, it's a lot of a very enjoyable show, which is what the type of thing I would enjoy watching, right? That's enjoyable. Doesn't want to make me gouge my eyes out, does not want to make me make me uneasy in my stomach watching or hate every character involved. So yeah, I don't know. Different strokes for different folks. You know how it is. So that was a little bit of a side tangent that I wanted to just get off my chest, because I don't know if you guys know about that whole space, but I got introduced into it, and my wife has been watching it slowly but surely, and I had glimpses to the story, but what's happened recently, it just, I can't deal with it. So yeah, I just had to get that out of my chest. But let's not delay too much, and let's go and look at some games. So unless one of you has any suggestions or any interest in any particular game, we can just go ahead and pull up the wheel of GameStop. Do you think you can review Civ 5? I can. So I guess we'll do Civ 5 first. So let me go ahead and pull that out real quick. And because I remember, I don't know if you've seen it already, but I did make a review of Civ 7, and I do mention a little bit of how Civ 5 and Civ 6 have performed in comparison. But we can look at that right now as well, and we can definitely check that. Let me just make sure I write it correctly, because the code can be a little bit, is case sensitive. So I got to make sure I write it correctly. Yeah, it seems like the video has not aged well, considering that a lot of people have not been happy of how I covered Civ 7. And hey, I never said Civ 7 was perfect, but clearly it was just worse than what I had been exposed to at the time of filming that video. But all right, so let me go ahead and pull up the code real quick so I can get that graph going. So let's put Civ 7 here. Civ 7. And we'll go ahead and run the numbers. Let's see. Oh, no, Civ 5. That's okay. I put the right one. I said the wrong game, but I put the right game in the thing. And you know what? Why not put both of them side by side? Civ 5, Civ 6, and Civ 7. I think that's, just for shits and giggles. Just put them, all three of them together. So let me just get that data. I always have to have so many tabs open in order for this to work properly. So just bear with me for a second while I go ahead and get everything we need. Here it is. So let's make sure I have civilization 6. Let's copy that to make sure it's the exact thing. Okay, that's Civ 6. And let's get Civ 7. Yeah. Civ 7. Could you check Slay the Princess? Ooh. I can definitely check it. I'll make sure to see that one next. Rover, you have all three. I also have all three. I started with Civ 5 when I was younger, and I really enjoyed it. I used to play a lot with my friends. I don't know if it's like the, I guess, common thing, but I'm not a big fan of the playing with NPCs. I love playing Civilization with my friends, even if it's just a lobby of like 2 or 3 people. But I don't know. I've always felt like playing with AI, they're either, no matter what difficulty you put on it, they either get annoyed or mad at you for no reason, or they unjustly get a bunch of resources. Like, I don't think that any of the civs have done a good job of like properly balancing or like doing a good NPCs civilizations, computer civilizations. So I've never really enjoyed the solo play too much. The one thing I do enjoy from Civ 5 and 6 is definitely the narration. The narration when you're playing solo and you get the descriptions and like little quotes while you're doing stuff. Amazing. The narrator, I don't know who it is, I don't know their name, but great voice. So definitely one of the best aspects of playing solo is being able to hear the narrator whenever you achieve something. But playing with NPCs is just, I didn't find it that fun. But I know some people really do enjoy it. All right, so I should have all 3 now. Perfect. So let's pull that up on screen. Is this the one? Yep, that's the one. Okay. So now I should be able to pull that on screen. Let me make sure. Are you properties? Okay. So you're not looking at the correct one. There we go. There we go. Oh, you're kind of warped, but we'll fix that right now. It's what do I need to do? Is it this? I'm trying to make it so that it fits better. There you go. I think that'll work. And there we go. Okay, so we can take a look at them individually. So I'm just gonna go ahead and hide the Civ 6 and Civ 7, so we can take a look at Civ 5 alone. So currently, well, not currently. So what we can see from what was my other channel? I don't have another channel. They're all the gaming marketplace. So if you go to YouTube, well, you're in YouTube, so yeah, the gaming marketplace is my channel, and I don't have any other channel right now for it. Twitch is the only other thing. But yeah, the Civilization 5. So Civilization 5, according to what we're seeing here, the highest value, the highest peak that it reached was 92.62 gems. And it managed to maintain an average of roughly 70 gems, I would say, on average. 70, 75 gems on average. and managed to maintain. What did I miss since I had to get some supper? You haven't missed much. I just started reviewing Civ 5, and I'm reviewing all three. So we have Civ 5, Civ 6, and Civ 7, and we're just taking one at a time. You have a play button behind you. Oh, okay. So, funnily enough, that's not mine. Well, it is mine, but it's not my channel. So I'll show you. I'll bring it up. A little bit of a thing. Let me see if I can get you out. There you go. So this play button is actually from Mogul Mail. This is from Ludwig. Let me make the screen bigger so you guys can see it. There you go. This is actually Mogul Mail. This is from Ludwig. So Ludwig, in one of his streams, he was doing a giveaway. It was one of the charity streams, and so he was giving away the Mogul Mail, and it was completely a raffle, and I ended up winning it, and I was actually very surprised when I did. So I find it really funny, and I like to keep it in the back because I was waiting for somebody to just question how I have a plate button, even though I don't have. I'm still a YouTuber starting out, so I just found that funny. But yeah, this is not mine. Well, once again, it's mine, but it's not from my channel. This is from Mogul Mail, which I don't think. I think he closed Mogul Mail, right? He doesn't post any there anymore. I don't know if he closed that YouTube channel entirely. So yeah, this is it came in a box, very well wrapped. So it was I think he just rebranded it. Oh, okay, so that makes sense. But yeah, so I have his play button. So that's really great. And then I just keep it there, and eventually I should be able to have my own play button, and I'll be able to put it side by side. But yeah, I'm that's sorry for the confusion, but yes, that's why I have the play button in the back. But so that's the story behind that. Honestly, I was super surprised when I got it. And I remember posting on mini video, just making just celebrating that I got it. But yeah, that's the story behind that play button right there. But going back to the Civ 5, right? So Ludwig's last Mogul Mail video was a month ago. There you go. So they haven't Ludwig hasn't posted, but it's because he said it. The last Mogul Mail video was literally him saying how, like, oh, this kind of has gone beyond what I wanted Mogul Mail to be. He got what he wanted it out of it, and then it just became a drama channel, and he wasn't really enjoying that fact. The funny thing is that he still makes Mogul Mail like videos in his main channel now, or in his VOD channel, or whatever channel, but he doesn't do I guess Mogul Mail like he used to, or not as religiously as he used to. So yeah. Let's see here. Okay, so like I was saying, Civ 5 was getting an average of like 75 gems, and its highest peak was 92.62 gems. It maintained that for, it seems, most of year 2024, and the return of the favorite corruption June up. Yep. So I'll get to it in a bit, but basically it maintained the 75 gem average all the way through, well, half of 2024. It did go down after that to having an average of like 50 gems. And then we see it maintained 50 gems for the longest time. And then now we see this is what Sans is mentioning. So this is that, unfortunately, the month of June, I just completely lost it, right? I lost the entire data that I had collected for that month because the file got corrupted. And since it got corrupted, I had to get the backup. But the earliest backup I had was the end of May. So we lost the data from June. So that's why you see this like data corruption here where it's like a big jump. But then we go to July, and that's when we see the data that we're seeing right now. We can still see that regardless of what happened in June, we do see that it did go down in value, and it's currently seeing around 24 to 25 gems on average. One thing that I did notice that I think might be why we see a lot of games going down in recent months is that Twitch, no, it's not Twitch. Actually, yes, it's Twitch. So Twitch changed, have been getting a lot more stringent with their bots, like regulating bots and making sure that bots are not plaguing the website, getting bot views and all that kind of stuff. So there's been a pretty big drop in views for a lot of channels and categories and like games in general, due to them taking bots more seriously and wanted to actually remove those from the website basically. So yeah, so the bots, I believe that's one of the reasons why we see a lot of games, when we compare them from before June to after June. I believe that's one of the reasons we see a lot of drops in the game's values. The most recent value for Civ 5 was 24.74 gems. Now, the great bot hunting of 2025. Yes. Twitch is really, really ramping down on it, and it's surprising for some streamers. There's a lot of streamers out there that apparently view botted to get partnership and all that, and they could just what they call it was revenue, what was it, ad revenue farming, I think is what they were calling it. It's basically that there were streamers that were either reusing their own footage from like previous streams, or they were live but they weren't really doing much, and most of their views were bots, but they would be live 24/7. And what would happen is that they would be live for 24/7, and when those bots would always be watching, right? So you would see streamers that had like basically 2K views 24/7, and that would be enough. It would trigger their I don't know if they were partners or if they were affiliate, but I know you can put ads in affiliate once you become an affiliate. So they were just putting ads whenever they could to those bots, and it would still count for Twitch, so they would get paid that way. So it was a way that people were gaming the system. So I believe that's one of the reasons. It was like money that was that it's not just Twitch's money. It's investor money or like sponsorship money that was going to, nowhere, right? And so in order to make it more sponsor friendly, and convince sponsors that they should invest in their platform, they had to really get into bots so that they can make sure that when they're showing an ad to an audience, that audience is there. It's an actual person watching whatever ad it's being played. So that's I believe they haven't said it's that reason, but that's my theory on why they've suddenly started cracking down on Twitch bots. All right, so here is Civilization 6. So Civilization 6 doing better than Civ 5, which is to be expected. And you can see that Civ 6 has had an average of roughly 220 gems per day. And its highest peak was on June of last year, at least that we've recorded, was in June of last year with 391.17 gems. Pretty damn good value. And it's maintained a pretty high average for this entire time, which is very nice. I'm once again not surprised, especially considering the fact that Civ 6, a lot of people have grown to really love Civ 6. And unless you're like one of the people who have been playing Civ from like the very beginning of the franchise, basically, unless you've been playing it from the very beginning, it's very likely that you started out with Civ 6 and thus you just keep playing that one. And Civ 7 did come out, but we'll look at that one in a bit. Regardless, it seems like it maintained that it did get lower average in 2025, but it maintained a 3-digit gem score. So it sees an average of 130 gems per day. The golden days of glitch turning into a feature. Yep, that happens a lot. That happens in a lot of games. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is something that, if done correctly, the community actually end up loving. When not done correctly, obviously you can get a lot of hate from whoever is your player base. So yeah. With that said, with 120-ish gems on average, it has gone down to around 50 gems on average, with its most recent value being 51.23 gems. So that's Civilization 6. And now let's go ahead and look at Civilization 7 with these two. And this is the interesting part. So I'll zoom in to when Civ 7 was released. But this is the interesting part. I mentioned it briefly, but I didn't go super into detail during the video of Civ 7's release. But you can clearly see that on release, Civ 7 was seeing higher numbers than Civ 6 and Civ 5, seeing 235 gems at its peak. But it quickly started going down from there. You can see that it went all the way down, worse than Civ 6, and then now even worse than Civ 5. There's a lot less people playing. Well, actually, the score is like 20 gem difference, but there's a lot of people who just are not playing Civ 7. They're playing Civ 6. So, until Civ 7 gets better and maybe wins back the heart of all the people playing, all the Civ fans out there, its value is gonna stay the same. I think it's gonna be something like this, for maybe a year or two from now. Eventually, we'll see maybe a DLC or an update that could potentially revive the game. But right now, this is sitting as a dead game. I really hope that they do revive the game, that they do still keep giving it attention and making it better over time. Once again, I did mention in the video, there is a cycle that happens. A lot of times people don't like a game when a new Civ game, when it launches. They do a lot of quality of life improvements, and they add a lot of features, and suddenly people end up loving that new Civ game. The backlash that Civ 7 has gotten, though, has been way higher than we've seen in the past. So definitely this is not a good sign. I'm hoping that they don't drop it the same way they did. What was that spin-off that they had made? They had made one that was basically what was it? It was like a Mars one. Not Mars, but like a space one. Sort of the cycle of COD games also. Yes. Actually, yes and no is what I would say. I feel like COD games, no matter what, people, you're forced. It's different because you're forced to play the newest COD game. Unlike Civ, where you can get by playing Civ 6, right? And you can keep enjoying the game. In Call of Duty, since it's basically a game, a service game, right? Gaming for service or live service game. If you want the most recent, like if you want Warzone, people who like Warzone, or if you want to be playing what is competitive, what people are, actually following, you have to kind of play the newest Civ game. The old COD servers are still up. I'm pretty sure they are. It's not that they're not going to be up. It's just that you see, first you stop getting any support for those games. Even if the servers stay up, you stop seeing any support for them. So a lot of issues are just going to stay there, or if there's glitches and stuff like that, that's going to be very, prominent. And another thing that happens a lot, since they no longer get any support, is that you start getting a lot of hackers into the game. And that causes the gaming experience to be a lot less enjoyable, because since they're not actively monitoring the game, because their focus is on the newer game, hackers can have a field day playing the older Call of Duty, and people who just want to play it for what it is end up usually being the ones, to pay for that. So that's why it's not forced, but you're kind of incentivized to go to the new Call of Duty, especially because think of it as this way: new cosmetics are going to be coming out and all that kind of stuff, and nothing's going to be coming out. No new content or cosmetics are going to be coming out for the previous Call of Duties. So in order for you to get what's, stay with the trends that Call of Duty is placing, you have to be with a new game. Winning the kernel level, anti-cheat, continue catching hackers. So yes and no is, unfortunately, that's like a lot of times the answer. It's not black or white. Yes, it would stop getting hackers, but the moment that any of them can break that, they basically have free reign. Now, this could have changed now that like Call of Duty has like all of Call of Duty is basically on one launcher. You have like a Call of Duty launcher that you then choose what game you want to play from their launcher. So if that means that all their servers are tied together, then that we could see less of hackers being able to exploit as much. But it's still, FOMO is still a thing, and like competitive, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if we still see competitive for older COD games. I think if you're like a competitive player, you have to be playing the newest Call of Duty game. And once again, it's if you want like the newest cosmetics, you want the new features and all that kind of stuff, you're incentivized to play the newest Call of Duty. So there is a lot more, maybe not like there's a lot more stuff that's maybe not program wise that force you to play the new game, but there are a lot of consumer psychological practices and exploits that Call of Duty and these companies do to make sure you feel like you have to play the newest game. And I heard now you're now required a TPM of 2.0, TPM 2.0, and secure bot enabled also. For what? For Call of Duty as a whole, or for like the new game? Because for the new game, I wouldn't be surprised. A lot of times they implement new restrictions, or they implement newer anti-cheat. If it's for the new game, then I'm not surprised. They implement a lot of anti-cheat or a lot of new software for those new games, mainly because those new games allows mainly because those new games let me see. So for example, you know how a lot of times games on launch, have had a lot of performance issues, right? A lot of times, those performance issues are for anti-cheat or for anti-piracy software, right? That anti-piracy software usually only stays there until people crack it and they start pirating the game online, right? So it's a temporary fall in performance to delay their game getting pirated, and encourage people to buy the new game instead of pirating it. But it is only a delay. The problem is, once again, the players end up being the ones in the losing end here, because then you have a game that's supposed to be optimized, but ends up having performance issues because that new third-party security software that they added into the game is not super optimized, and thus makes either your computer work as well, or makes the servers not be as efficient. So the players usually end up being the ones having a worse experience. But for the companies, they guarantee that for maybe the first month or two, that people they'll have to pay in order to get their games. DRMs can affect FPS. Yes, they can. They definitely can. And once again, anti-cheat, they usually take it out at some point after it's already out there and people can pirate it. Not the anti-cheat, sorry, the anti-piracy ones. And that's usually also the easiest ways for companies, because they win in a lot of ways. Once again, this is all psychology and ways they manipulate the market. But they can basically go, you have pretty bad performance initially because of this anti-piracy software that's being jammed in. But once the anti-piracy software is no longer needed, the performance is still not that bad, but some people are complaining. Then you get an update out there and be like, guys, we did it. We optimized the game. We made it better. We're working hard. See, this is us. We're doing this for you, right? See how hard we're working to make this the best experience for you? And that's how they're going to sell it. And then that works. They start getting positive consumer feedback from consumers, because there's they're actively fixing the game. This is what we need. And when in reality, they just deleted the folder. That's exactly it. So it's once again, only us, the players, end up in the losing end. Because you would think that they would lose, because there's but they won't be happy that their game has some bad reputation or anything like that. But they don't care about that, because the reality is, short term, they're gaining money because they're guaranteed that their game is not being pirated. So if people want to play their game, they have to pay for it. So they're gaining money from using it. And then by the time that they're no longer getting money from that, they fix it, and suddenly, now they have good consumer sentiment. So more people are gonna incentivize to buy the game, or more people start playing the game again. And they start buying cosmetics, and they start buying all these stuff, and they win money again, right? So it's this game of manipulating the market, manipulating your player base, your consumers, so that you are always on the winning end, and you're always getting the best bang for your buck. So yeah, there's a lot of shady practices like that, especially with AAA companies. Which is why a lot of people are starting to get tired of AAA companies, because if you notice, this entire strategy that I just told you that they use it's not from people who genuinely love making games and want you to enjoy their game. It's coming from people, stakeholders, businessmen who just want to make the most money possible. So that's the trend we see in with AAA in those major industries. I don't know if I mentioned, but the most recent value for Civ 7 is 11.93 gems. I heard game companies. I heard AAA game companies are gonna downgrade to AA. Yeah, I heard that they're doing that. I think it's just a way of them. How do you explain it? It's a way for them to once again gain consumer sentiment while and making it seem like they're doing it for the industry when they're really not, right? If you, especially if you're in the US or actually everywhere in the world right now, everybody's having economical issues right now, right? So companies are also not being as profitable as they used to be. So for them, it's beneficial to cut down on costs and be a quote unquote AA company. But in reality, it's just a way for them to excuse doing a bunch of layoffs or doing, other than firing a bunch of people. It's also an excuse for them to then in the future, what I don't doubt will happen is that in the future, when we encounter game bugs or we encounter issues in the future, they're going to be like, well, what do you want me to do? We have to put less resources. You wanted this, right? We're a smaller team. There's only so much we can do. So they're going to start using it as an excuse later on. And, it's manipulation, man. And I've studied a lot of like business and I understand a lot of the business side of why people like why these stakeholders do these kinds of things. That in project management they teach you to always keep your stakeholders happy, and that's basically where we're at. It's a business. It's not a hobby. It's not a passion. It's just a business. And you scaling down to AA or rebranding yourself as a AA company is just a way of you once again trying to gain favor because people are shifting to wanting to play indie games or, not AAA. So how do you, if you can't change your reputation of your bad reputation of what AAA games are, then what are you going to do? I'm just going to rename myself. I'm not a AAA. Don't hate me. I'm not a AAA company. I'm a AA company. The ones you hate, they're over there. They're not here. I'm with you guys. My budget is way smaller. I'm here to innovate and make games that you will enjoy. I'm the good guy. Those AAA guys out there, they're the bad guys. We got to keep hating on them. Once again, if you can't beat them, you join. Indie games are on the rise. AAA games are falling. So what they got to do is rebrand. We're not AAA. We're AA. We're closer to indies now. Right? See, this is what you want. I'm your best friend. Shake the hand. Huh? Good. I'm glad you're happy now. Even though I literally changed nothing. I just fired a bunch of people, made the industry worse, and now I'm getting good cred for it. And more money in my pocket. Because guess what? They fire a bunch of people, but those CEOs are still going to get paid. Those CEOs are still going to get paid they're a good amount. The only people losing there would be their bottom line. Next thing you know, Rockstar is going to become an indie game company. Exactly. That's the next thing. Oh, Bethesda becomes an indie game company. Although I think at that point you can't really do that because Microsoft bought these companies, right? Like Microsoft bought Bethesda. They bought who were the other ones? I know that Microsoft has bought a bunch of companies, but at that point, could you if you've been bought by Microsoft, can you still consider yourself an indie or a non-AAA company? That's murky waters. I would not be able to tell you. I would not know how the intricate details on how that would work. But yeah, the reality is when you have games from actual indie companies that look like AAA, aka you have stuff like Clair Obscur Expedition 33 that is AAA quality game, but it is made by an indie company. You can start getting other companies that are AAA to claim that they're indie, or maybe they'll shift it and say, oh, it's an indie project. We only had 20 developers working on this game. The company may be big, but this game, we only put a budget of this much, and it was a team of 20 people. And now suddenly it's indie. It's literally just rebranding. It's literally just marketing. It's how to make your company or your yourself seem like the good guy, and not, and how to make you be in the good side of consumers, right? And if you can't fix it, you change. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm not trying to say that all AAA companies out there are evil, but the moment you're AAA is because you have other incentives, and money is always going to be an incentive. But indeed, if you make a good, there's this idea that if you make a good game, money will come, right? It's the same way, like if you make a good movie, money will come. If you make a good product, money will come with it. But when you make a product just chasing the money and not because you want to make a good product, then that's when you start encountering all these issues. So yeah. Well, going back, or to finish off with Civilization here, just to kind of close it out, we can see that Civilization 7 is definitely not doing as good as Civilization 5 and 6. Here's hoping that they can make it better in the future, but I don't expect this change to change much. Remember, the Civ 7 is such a low value because Civ 7's game player base got split into Civ 7 and Civ 6, right? So since it got split, people returning to Civ 6 instead of continuing playing Civ 7, suddenly more people went to Civ 6, Civ 7 goes down. Another way of viewing it is like, if Civ 7 were good, right? If people had liked Civ 7, we would have seen a combination of Civ 7 numbers and Civ 6, and we would have seen a way bigger average. My guess is that we would have seen something similar to the average we saw for Civ 6 here. My guess is that we would have been in this range, like the 300, 250 gem range. But unfortunately, that's not what happened. So yeah, that is Civilization, but the last 3 games at least. So there you go. I hope that was insightful for you, Rover. I hope you enjoyed that analysis of currently the Civilization franchise. So unless Sans, you have something you want to suggest, let's go ahead and take out that wheel of GameStop, shall we? So, where are you? Wheel of GameStop. There you go. So we still have a couple of games to go through here. Oh, but that Civ 5 was in that list, so we ended up doing Civ 5. So let me just cross that one out. There you go. Civ 5 is out. And let's go ahead and spin the wheel with the rest. Let's see here. Ooh, last minute change to Deep Rock Galactic. All right, so I'm gonna start saying I genuinely love Deep Rock Galactic. If you have not played Deep Rock Galactic and you like, I wouldn't say if you like extraction shooters, but Deep Rock Galactic is an extraction shooter. So if you like extraction shooters, you're gonna love Deep Rock Galactic. Now, in general, Deep Rock Galactic is a really fun first-person shooter game, right? It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of personality with the game. There's a bunch of different game modes within it. Um, there's a lot of cosmetics, a lot of ways to really um, express yourself, and the progression system in the game is also really good. But in general, the game loop is just a lot of fun. I've when it came out on the Xbox, on the I played it with my friends nonstop for, I swear it was like maybe like a whole year, and I still have friends who keep playing it even to this day, and they keep updating it, right? So they're still giving a lot of stuff, and now it's gotten so much popularity that Deep Rock Galactic has been able to expand as a franchise even more. They have Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, which I have not played myself, which is like their roguelike survivor version of the game. I haven't played it, but I've heard that it's really good and that it's a lot of fun. And isn't there like a new Deep Rock Galactic game that's gonna be out there, or is it just a new update? Let me check real quick. Is there a new Deep Rock Galactic game? Deep Rock Galactic, or is it just an Rogue Core? There you go. Is it a new game? It is. It is. So they're making a new game called Deep Rock Galactic Rogue Core, and this one seems here. It's currently what, on wishlist? Yeah, it's early access. So it seems like this one is a lot more close to the original Deep Rock Galactic. So I would say this is more of like a sequel to the original Deep Rock Galactic, or at least like it looks like it is. Oh, but they're including. It looks like it looks like a sequel to the Deep Rock Galactic, but also it seems like it's taking inspiration from Survivor, and it's mixing like a roguelike mechanics into the game as well. So that seems super interesting. I mean, it says right here action roguelike, but that's super interesting. If it's free, then I'd be glad to play it. If I get a good PC, it hasn't come out. I don't know when it's gonna come out. Does it say the release date? No, it doesn't have a release date yet. But you'll probably have to pay because I believe all their other games are paid. But it's still really good. At least the original Deep Rock Galactic. So the original one is $30, and Survivor is 13 bucks. So yeah, it seems like the new one is a combination of like both of these, gameplay wise. Seems like it's a lot of fun. I might play it in the future when it comes out. But regardless, it's still in development. It seems like they're still working on it. But yeah, they've been their success has been so nice and so good that they've been able to branch out as a franchise. And now I would say that they're, for people who know about Deep Rock Galactic, they're a pretty reliable, or like a good name tied to it, right? Good reputation tied to it. I wouldn't be surprised if this one ends up being as good. But enough with the potential sequel. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Deep Rock Galactic actual performance. So let me look up the name so I make sure I write it correctly. So Deep Rock Galactic, there we go. There we go. Copy. And now let's look at Deep Rock Galactic. There it is. There we go. And let's pull that up. Where are you? There you are. All right. So, oh, I'm not showing it. Give me a sec. So here's Deep Rock Galactic. So just by looking at it, we can see that Deep Rock Galactic on the first half of welcome back, Rover. I hope that since you came back, I hope that you managed to see the I hope that you managed to see the end of Civilization, how the three compared. I hope that you managed to get that. We're currently looking at Deep Rock Galactic, and I don't know if you played it, but it's a really fun game, and you should definitely check it out. There's a sequel that they're currently working on, which seems to be more of a roguelike version of the original game, which I'm very excited of, but there's no release date for that yet. They're still in development. But yeah, so now we're looking at Deep Rock Galactic, the original game. And looking at the first half of 2024, we can see that it had an average of roughly 70 gems. 70 to 65 gems, I would say. It had a small spike sometime around March of 2024, which it had reached 104 gems there. If you didn't get it, Rover, you can look back in the VOD after the stream is. Nice. And okay, so, but on average, it sees around 65 to 70 gems. And then it had a huge spike on the month of June of 2024. So let's go ahead and take a look of why we see that spike. So we'll go with or reliable first, which is going ahead and checking SteamDB. Maybe there was an update for Deep Rock Galactic on that time. So charts. All right, so I do see the spike right here. So this is 2024, and here's the season 5. Can you let me see the big? I can't see the that one. Free weekend. Oh, so season 5 of Deep Rock Galactic came out, and it was free that weekend. So a lot of people started checking it out. Okay. So yeah, so this is the. So the reason is because it was free, so a lot of people started getting the game. Oh damn! I paid for this game. I would have loved to have gotten it free. And season 5 had just come out, so that's nice. So that's the spike in players that we see here. Do we also see a spike in streams and live streams? Let me check. So let's go ahead with Deep Rock Galactic here. Deep Rock Galactic. There we go. Let's see. So we actually don't see a spike for that particular month in maybe we do. There's a small spike right here for a month of June. Does it also? Yeah, it's somewhat around the same time. So we do see that some people did stream it once season 5 started, which makes sense. Assuming there was new content, new cosmetics, and stuff like that. A lot of times when there's a new season, a lot of content creators flock to the game and play it. But I would say it wasn't such a. Where can I put you? There you go. And then just throw this. So, but it wasn't such a huge spike. Also, in previous streams, we have seen some spikes that I haven't been able to correlate, at least to viewers or like live viewers, or to player like amount of players. After diving deeper into it, I forgot that I wasn't taking into account player playtime. Like the code is, but I wasn't taking into account playtime when I was analyzing it. That's why we wouldn't understand why it would suddenly go up. Yeah, exactly. For example, for Portal 2. So the we weren't looking at it at the time, and I can look it up later. But basically, those games, you could have the same amount of players, but or you could have a streamer that doesn't have that many views and doesn't add a spike or anything like that. But if they were binging the game or like just playing the entire game that during that time, that would highly increase its playtime value during that day. So that is one of the correlations why we would see such high playtime, like such high values in gems, even if we don't see a spike in players, in player count, or a spike in viewers in Twitch. Um, and then there's always the factor of like videos on YouTube, but that's a lot harder to really jolt down, right? That it's considered in the algorithm, but it's a lot harder for me to do or research on my end to see its effect like directly. Because I would have to look at every video, I have to check every viewer, at like viewer count of every video that was uploaded that exact same day, and then do the math there and all that kind of stuff to see if it was it matches the average of that content or not. So there's a lot more involved to be able to analyze that. But regardless, we do just know that if sometimes we see those spikes and we don't correlate it with the player amount or the live amount, like on Twitch or on SteamDB, it might be it might just be that they just higher player time, like playtime that day. So yeah, and that could happen a lot, especially if there was an update as well. If there's an update, people maybe the same amount of people are playing it. Because think of it this way: there's a lot of players out there that log in, let's just say, religiously to do their dailies, right? So there's people out there that play Fortnite and they go into Fortnite, they do their daily mission. They have the weekly missions or whatever, but they do their dailies and they're done and they leave the game. It's like, I did my dailies, I got the reward that I wanted, I'm out. But when there's a new season or when there's like new content, you will see that the same player amount, right? The same player count, that person that comes in every day and does their daily and then leave, suddenly they came in and they didn't just do the daily. They started doing more stuff, and thus the playtime for those two scenarios are different because that one person played a lot more at that time because of new content or XY reason than they would when they play their just daily missions that they used to do before. So that's another reason why you that's another way you can differentiate, I guess, gems from, for example, player numbers. I've had a lot of comments of people saying like, "Oh, isn't this just the equivalent of like player count?" And here's one example where a player counts that shows that player counts doesn't show the whole story. Also, Roblox deplatformed Steam from the biggest gaming platform. Really? Did that happen recently? I'm not a big fan of Roblox, not necessarily the game, but more the how they've been running things, and it's because of all the issues. Like they're very predatory, or like they don't do anything in regards to like all the predatory practices that are happening. Seriously, like let me check that out. Roblox passes. Not what I'm looking for. Not what I'm looking for. Biggest becomes the biggest. Platform. Roblox. Yes, Roblox is the biggest gaming platform currently user. Where's the article? This came out not too long ago. Oh, it is a very exponential. Damn. That's really big growth. Reaches an incredible 380 million monthly active users. Comparison to Steam has around 132 million monthly users and 69 million daily active users. Yeah. But I am surprised, genuinely surprised, but at the same time, not surprised because of what we've mentioned before, which is the fact that players are tuning in and like people are making copies of games that are or indie games out there or games that are popular and making them in Roblox. So, and it's a lot of times it's for free there, right? So you don't buy. But I use the example. There's the short that I did showing more examples, and in the video peak I show more examples. But using the examples that I showed in the peak video, you have copies of Get to Work, you have copies of Peak, you have copies of Repo, you have copies of honestly any game that you can think of. There's a copy of it that most likely exists in Roblox, and it's free for people to play it there. Sure, they might have microtransactions and there might be incentives for people to spend money in Roblox, but in general, you can, as long as you have Roblox, you can basically play any of these games for free. So why would you pay to play the game on Steam when you can get a free version on Roblox? Which that's why I'm not entirely surprised. I am sad about it. It's unfortunate that that's the case because it's, you know, it's, I would say it's like ruining the industry because it's incentivizing, and I would say it's incentivizing a mobile gaming environment where, for example, mobile games are heavily incentivized to have microtransactions, right? And there's a lot of really good games in mobile and with a lot of potential, but they get bogged down by microtransactions so much and like showing ads and doing all these things that they become way too tedious for you to play. And although there's no ads in Roblox that I know of, I feel like this what you do have in Roblox is the microtransaction, the incentive to do microtransactions. So if you take these good games that you have to pay for them, but they're a one-time purchase and you have a good game out of it, and then you remake it with microtransactions, and then the industry starts thinking, oh, that's what people want, right? It's the same thing with I would say it's the same thing with like what happened with Fortnite, what happened with Warzone, what happened with a lot of these games where it's like, oh, from now on we're giving you a free game, so that way you're free. You don't have to put any money into this game. You just have to play it and enjoy it. Oh, but everything that you got used to having with your paid games, you're no longer gonna have, because you can have them, but you're gonna have to pay them individually. It's similar to how you pay. I would say it's similar to airlines. If you go American, you can pay one decently or high price plane ticket, but that'll include your baggage, your carry-on. It'll include you can choose a seat. It'll include all these things, right? Or you can go to a budget airline, which is like Spirit or Frontier, and it's like, yes, you can get a budget version of it, but if you want anything that you would get from this guy, you have to pay them separately. So, your carry-on is separate. Your choosing a seat is separate. Getting any check-in bag is separate, right? So, what I'm seeing is this parallel is happening right now with video games, where in Roblox you have the free but littered with microtransactions. So you get half a game or maybe even less, and you have to buy individual features to get the full game, or you get you pay a little bit more upfront to get a full game with everything that you expect to be included. That's where we are right now, right? I want this side to win, but once again, we were talking about how companies it's all about marketing, and it's all about making money and making profit. So if industries think that that's the way to get money, unfortunately, that's what's gonna happen. It's just gonna become like that, way worse than what we already have. So yeah, but sorry for the tangent once again. Let's go back to Deep Rock Galactic. And for Deep Rock Galactic, once its season 5 had come out, we saw a peak of 215 gems. Now, it quickly lost that value, which is to be expected because people who were playing a lot were playing it because the game was free, and also because the new season had just come out. Once you have the people that binge the game and get everything for that season, or the people who played the game because it was free and then stopped playing it, you're going to see a pretty sharp downfall like this. And we can see that the data, that the gem value normalized itself back to its average that we were seeing before, where we're now seeing, once again, a 70 to 65 gem average for the rest of 2024 and for most of 2025. Now, ignoring this gap on June, we can see that it has gone down. Once again, I believe that this lower value in the month of in the recent weeks and recent days is attributed to the Twitch suddenly working and being stricter with bots, with view bots and all that kind of stuff. So that will lower its value. But on average right now, it's seeing roughly, I'm trying to hover over it. Give me a value. I'm going to zoom in. Roughly 11.46 gems. So that's its current valuation for the game. Now, I expect this to kind of stay like this for a while, and then it'll probably dip down once the new Deep Rock Galactic Rogue Core comes out. If the Rogue Core is good. Once again, if Rogue Core ends up being bad, we might be seeing another Civilization 7 situation. But I have a lot of trust with this company. I've really enjoyed how they've run Deep Rock Galactic as a whole. So I have high expectations for them. I have good, expectations, high hopes for them. So that's Deep Rock Galactic. Overall, doing really damn well. Once again, it's within that range. Actually, if you go to the website right now, you should be able to see, and I'll just pull it up. I'll pull up the image real quick. Hopefully, I can show it on stream. I'll pull up the image, but I updated the website so that now you have the indie corner and you have the main marketplace, the one that includes every game, AAAs and everything, and the one that only includes indie corner is only for indie games, so you can compare them side by side. And I also created a little heat meter of sorts, like a little meter of sorts, so that you can have a better reference point when you look at these values to know what's a good gem score, quote unquote good, but what's a high gem score and what's a low gem score. What's considered okay and what's considered bad, right? So I have the image here. Let me see if I can pull it up on the stream. Give me a sec. So, where are you? I know yours. There you go. So here you are. So I have 2 meters now that you can look at if you go to the website. And if you're curious, the website is thegamingmarketplace.com, just in case you don't know. So if you go there, you should be able to see. Let me pull it up. It's not going to be perfect, but I'll try to pull up this real quick. Window capture, miscellaneous. Okay. And let's just select you. Okay. So this is the type of meter that you're gonna see. I might add it to Steam. Not to Steam, sorry. I might add it to OBS so that maybe we from going forward, I can make it so that the meter appears here, down here for reference, right? But overall, this is for. Let's see. Does this open as a different one? Yes, it does. It does open as a different one. Okay, so that's for. This is the heat scale, the meter that you would expect for games as a whole, including AAA. So AAA games, really good score. Top score is 1,000 gems or anything higher than that, and a decent but low score would be 50 gems for AAA. Anything lower than 50 gems is considered there might be a problem there. People aren't playing it, or it's not meeting standards, right? But for indie games, we have this one, which I will show now. Miscellaneous 2. And let's just choose this. Indie gem meter. There you go. Okay, so for indie games, we have something along these lines. All right, let's see if I can make it. Yeah, something along these lines. So I'm gonna zoom in on this guy. So this is what we have. And for indie games, what you can expect is a really good indie game, an indie game that's doing really well. It has roughly 100 gems. Anything higher than 100 gems for an indie game is super good, right? It's above average. And for an average of an indie game is like around 10, 11 gems, or maybe closer to single digits. But anything lower than 1 gem, that's underperforming, right? So that this little meter that I have on screen right now is, gonna be helpful for people to, when they enter the website, or if you're new to gems as a whole, you should be able to look at these meters and at least have an understanding, initial understanding of what's considered good and what's considered average, what's considered above average, and what's considered on the below average. So hopefully this is something that will be useful for you guys later on. And then if you want, I can definitely include that PNG, because it's a PNG. So I can include that in our stream overlay, as an overlay, so that way it's always on screen, so anybody that joins can have a better understanding whenever it is that they see these scores when I'm talking about them live. So yeah, so I'll keep them for now. I'll keep them as they are right now on screen, just so we can have that understanding. Is there a way I can add a text? Oh, yes, I can. So we'll call this indie games. Indie game meter. Okay, and then can I just say indie games? Indie games. Indie games. How do I change your size? Where are you? I need to make you smaller. Oh, that's how. So let's put you here. I got a message not so long ago. That is, I got a notification, but I don't see it. I wonder what it was. So I'll just include it here. I really gotta work on dealing with the I want to make that bigger. With dealing with Twitch and YouTube alerts, because I swear to God I can't see them on screen. The return of the ghost notification. Yeah, dude. I have to see what's going on, and why that keeps happening. But we'll, I'll keep getting better as time goes on, like everybody else. It's a learning process. So this is the game meter. AAA. Game meter. And then I'll save this. And then let's put here is AAA games. I'll put AAA and AA. AAA and AA games. Select front. Let's use the same font, shall we? There we go. Hit OK. Let's make this right down here. So that should work. So I'll just keep that in the bottom of the screen to help everybody out. If somebody's new, if you're new to the stream and you're just tuning in, this will help you understand better. So with that said, that is in fact a Deep Rock Galactic. So now that we're done covering that one, we can go look at another game. Do you guys have any suggestions, or you guys just want me to spin the wheel? What are your thoughts? I'll just vibe here if I don't get any answers. I can just... I love a Risk of Rain music. Manor Lords, we have a suggestion. Let's go ahead and look at... Let me lower that volume again. Let's go ahead and look at Manor Lords. Sorry, I'm reading it wrong. Manor Lords. Or Palia. We'll go ahead and look at those. Just give me a sec. Let me see if I have them in the first place. And then from there, we can check them out. So let's go with Palia. Do I have Palia? It doesn't seem like I have Palia. I'll have to see what that game is in a bit. But let's see if I have Manor Lords. I do have Manor Lords. So I do have Manor Lords. So let's go ahead and pull that up real quick, and then I'll check what Palia is and why. Maybe I don't have it. But let's go ahead, put that in the code. Let's get the shard. Shard. Somebody has said that I say shard, like shard. I don't know how to pronounce it differently. Okay, I've seen comments of people saying that I say shard like I'm shitting, like shard. I can't pronounce the sh sound different, so I can't even highlight the two different ways I'm saying it. But yeah, sharding, shard, chat, chat. Yeah, it's the same way you would say chat, right? So shard. But then I say like, it's like I'm saying SH instead of CH. So I don't know. Do you guys hear it? Do you guys hear it? Or do you guys think I say it normally? Who knows? Maybe I'm opening myself up for you guys to also make fun of me on that end. So only time will tell. Where are you? I'm looking at the... To pull up the data real quick. Nope, that's not... It's not here. It's here. And then... I got another notification. I don't know where it is. I don't know what it was. I have ghost notifications at this point. What is going on? Why am I getting notifications? What's going on? I don't know what's going on. You know, continuing. Show them what's going on. All right. So, looking at here, I should be able to show this the chart on screen. There we go. Oh, what? Why did that go there? That's a weird one. What is that showing up there? Anyways, continuing. All right, so here we can see that. Oh, I'm still looking at Deep Rock Galactic. Oh, did I not load it properly? Let me do it again. I didn't load it. I didn't load it. My bad. I still have Deep Rock Galactic there. All right, now it should be Manor Lords. There you go. So this is Manor Lords. So just briefly looking at this, we can see that Manor Lords initially in the start of 2024 was seeing an average of 15 to 16 gems, a 15 gem average. And then out of nowhere, it got a huge spike on April of 2024 where it saw 75.15 gems. And then we can go ahead and look up once again what may have caused that, but we'll look it up in a bit. Regardless, it had a fall. It went down after that, which leads me to believe that similar to Deep Rock Galactic, this is because it was an update or it was a new season that came out or something along those lines. And a lot of people started playing it immediately. And then it went back down to normalize itself to its actual, to represent its actual player base. But we do see that it did have a slight increase in average players for a couple of months. So a lot of people who did play during this spike decided to keep on playing. So they started doing more people engaging with the game with an average around 20 gems. But it has normalized back down to its like 15 gem average by the end of 2024. And then it saw another spike at the beginning of this year, or well, actually in December 2024, and it reached 41.8 gems. Now that could be another update. That could be because it came out for free or anything like that, similar to Deep Rock Galactic. So we'll have to see, do some research on why that happened there. But then it went back down, and now it has an average back to and higher, and actually it's keeping it higher average in the beginning of the year to 20 gems, which is 5 gems higher than it saw in the beginning of 2024. Now, ever since then, it has gone down, and it now currently has a steady value of 4.07 gems. So it does seem like it has lost a lot of engagement from the player base or from audiences. So we can see why that might be in a bit. But let's first check why it had that spike in the first place. Oh, once again, let's go to All Reliable. Let's go to SteamDB and check what may have been the cause. So we're going to Manor Lords. And okay. So maybe it was an early access and then it officially released on April of yeah. Okay, so this data we're seeing, it's oh, sorry, I'm still covering on screen, so give me a sec. So this data that we're seeing here is when the game was in early access, but once the game was officially released, that's when we saw this spike. So this spike correlates to the game being officially launched. right? And then if we look at the player counts, we can also see that steady decline, that sharp decline of players shortly after it was released. And ever since then, we see this little spike here on October. That little spike is similar to this little spike here in October. I forget that sometimes you guys don't see it, so let me just do that. That spike is similar to this little spike here in October. And then we see another small spike in December, small spike in player base and player counts in December, which is this spike we see here. So we've been able to see why that player count itself seems to be has seen some spikes here and there, but on average it sees up roughly what, like 3,000, 4,000 gems. Yeah, it seems like on average it saw 4,000 gems, and it has gone down recently where it's seeing on average 2,000 to 1,000. Sorry, it wasn't gems, players is what I meant to say. It's seeing roughly, it used to see roughly 4,000 players, and now it's gone down to seeing roughly 2,000 to 1,000 players per day. So clearly we're seeing this steady decline here. We're clearly seeing that it keeps going down, and player count is one of the reasons. Let's see if we see a similar behavior with people streaming the game. So if we go look at Manor Lords on Twitch, so Manor Lords on Twitch, we can see a very similar behavior here, where we have the spike when the game came out, a lot of viewers, a lot of people, and then it slowly went down. Seems like we saw a small bump in August. Then we saw that this like really small bump here in October. So reset zoom. And then we see this is, we see this January that this is the player amount, the increase. It seems we also have an increase in views on the end of this, like 2024, December of 2024, and beginning of January. But with that said, you can definitely see that it also has lost a good amount of not just players, but also content online. Like, not many people are viewing or engaging with this game as much as they used to when the game launched last year. So it's unfortunate. Regardless, let me swing this back now. It's unfortunate, but regardless, Manor Lords did see a pretty good release, but it just doesn't seem to have been enough to warrant people staying and continue playing the game. What is Manor Lords? Is Manor Lords like a type of MMORPG? Oh, it's a city builder. Okay, so it's also in the niche grand strategy city builder niche, which already in itself doesn't see that many people, but also that niche does trend to like fall off pretty quickly, unless it's one of the unless you see a game that has been, I would say, a staple of the genre. For example, I don't know if you would consider it the equivalent of city builder. I would consider it that way, which is something like Tycoon, like Roller Coaster Tycoon. The classic Roller Coaster Tycoon is loved by many people, and thus you still see a pretty steady stream of players there. But you do see a lot of times this spike and then this fall from these type of games. But normally they would be able to retain the values more consistently. It just seems like this game in particular has been losing a lot of favor especially in recent weeks. So players might just be going to play other things. There's many reasons why players decide. Maybe what was the last update for this game? The last update was, funnily enough, today. But what was the last major update? Last I saw, the series day blank of looking at gems value of games is behind on the YouTube end. Behind on the YouTube end. Last I saw the series day looking at the gems values. Okay. Look. Games is behind on YouTube. Oh. Okay. So yes, Sans. Now I understood what you were trying to ask. Yes, it is behind on the YouTube end. The TikTok is ahead. It's more recent. The reason behind that is because on YouTube, I was experimenting with the algorithm a little bit and seeing if when I posted I read online that for you to for shorts to work well on YouTube, you had to post it and then you had to leave it till it stopped seeing like views naturally from since basically you had to wait till YouTube stopped pushing it out, and then you can upload the next video, because if not, the newer video was not going to see as good performance because the algorithm was still going to be pushing the previous video. Now, I'm not sure how true that is exactly, but I decided to test it out, and I would wait before posting wait longer before posting the next day of video for the gem scores, mostly because I wanted to see if that affected its performance in any way, shape, or form. And I haven't really seen any difference in performance. It seems like it's still relatively sporadic. So I decided to just go back to try to post every day on YouTube to try to catch up with how I have it in TikTok. And that way I can keep them in sync with each other. The exact same thing happened with Instagram, where in Instagram I stopped posting for a bit, seeing if giving it a break, or experimenting with the algorithm and seeing how that goes. And now Instagram is way more behind than even YouTube on the the day of videos. I call them marketplace report videos. So the marketplace report videos, it is behind in Instagram more so than YouTube for the exact same reason. But I'm trying to post them every day to kind of catch up back to TikTok and have them all uniform and everybody gets the content at the exact same time and there's no difference. So yeah. When was the last? I was checking when was the last major update. It doesn't seem to have seen any huge updates since it released. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it has seen any like major updates. So this is what I'm looking at. Let me show it on screen. It doesn't seem like to have, like, it's still in 0. whatever, even though it should be in 1.0 since the game officially released. But it doesn't seem like they've done anything that would warrant people to come back and see something new. It seems like what they released, they haven't really added much to the game ever since then. Haven't updated it that much, which is okay. I don't subscribe myself to the idea that games should have endless content, or that this like gaming as a service is necessarily good, right? I think that some games, this is, it's not bad for some games to just have the peak, see the player base, have a small community that plays them and enjoys playing it frequently, and that's it. And let it slowly die off. That's perfectly fine. I feel like that's how all games should do, especially considering the fact that, on the developer side of things, right? The indie developer, whoever developed the game, as long as you like were able to sell the game and like give a good product to people for them to enjoy playing, it wasn't a failure, right? They got money out of it, and now that should be able to fund them to be able to work on their next project. That's how I see it. You gain a little bit of profit of it. So if you're an indie developer, so you can actually live off the game, the profit of the game, but also so that it can then help you, budget the next game. And I think that's the cycle that it should have. Every game should have a start and a finish. And this idea that live service games can be endless is also incorrect, right? Because even somebody like the only one that I think is a service game, like a game as a service that has continued and it hasn't like it is relatively endless, is something like MOBA games, right? So League of Legends, you have Dota, you have Dota 2 and all this stuff. Smite, Marvel Rivals, right? Valorant. You have all these games that are okay to be endless if that's what you want, right? Because the focus of that is more the competitive scene. So as long as the competitive scene is alive, then your game will be alive. But a game like Fortnite, for example, or a game like Call of Duty, we know we have Warzone, but clearly Warzone doesn't give them enough profit, so they still have to post a new game every year, which I don't necessarily agree with either. I don't think you should be posting a game every single year. I think you should take your time with developing the game and making it as best as you can make it. But that would bring me back to the tangent, and we already talked about how I feel about AAA companies and how they do things. But regardless, that's pretty much like that cycle. I'm pretty sure Fortnite used to have an alternate offline mode called Save the World. The Fortnite as a game, the base game of Fortnite was Save the World. It was not the Battle Royale that we know it for nowadays. Battle Royale was an added game to the original Save the World, right? It got so successful and so popular that they decided to just completely ignore and scrap Save the World and focus on the Battle Royale version of Fortnite. But Fortnite wasn't originally like intended to be an endless Battle Royale. That was never the intent for it. It just kind of happened after Battle Royales grew in popularity. And so that I feel like Fortnite can to a certain degree keep its audience, but it's gonna die off, right? There's no such thing as a game that will always be popular forever, right? And I mean, like, I don't mean a franchise. I mean, like, I think that it's impossible for one same game to be popular forever. Even something as popular and as well known as Counter-Strike, even though a lot of people know it, CSGO, eventually got the overhaul, which is Counter-Strike 2, which is basically just a new game. It's no longer the same. It's not even the same engine that CSGO was running on before. For all intents and purposes, it's a new game. They just didn't want the new game to compete with CSGO, which was their popular product. So they decided to just say that turn CSGO to this new game that they developed, which is Counter-Strike 2, right? I feel like Fortnite at some point might do that, but Fortnite itself, right now, the only way that Fortnite can keep itself alive and keep itself active is because it's doing a lot of collaborations with other IP, right? The only reason Fortnite is still so popular is because you have every other IP. You have people, Star Wars. You have from artists also getting their characters in the game. You have from different series, different movies, different games. They're all like, whenever they might be losing audiences, they just, oh, let's add a new IP into Fortnite, right? And that's usually what keeps it alive. They have Invisible. Yeah, exactly. They also have Invisible in there, and because of that, it keeps them fresh in consumers' minds, because it's also, they also make sure to acquire or include IP that will be recognizable to people, so that they want to come back to play the game, to play as those characters, right? So we at some point thought that oh, Super Smash Bros is like the biggest crossover. Super Smash Ultimate is the biggest crossover. All that doesn't exist anymore, because Fortnite is literally everything in one, right? And yeah, but at some point, unless their marketing is really good, and they somehow manage to exceed expectations, at some point Fortnite will run out of things, or like the formula of adding new IP into it will no longer be enough to retain the players, right? And one of two things will happen. Either Fortnite, which is what I think the route they're going for, it seems like Fortnite will become a sandbox game, and then Battle Royale will just be in the side, or Fortnite will eventually release a Fortnite 2 and they'll change some stuff. But for what I'm looking at right now is that Fortnite is slowly trying to become the next Roblox. It's trying to become a sandbox, and if it continues how it's doing, because it might surpass Roblox at some point, because a lot of younger generations. So Roblox is as popular as it is because younger generations would play Roblox, and then that generation grew up, and so they continued playing Roblox even as they were now in college, or they were adults, or they were, in high school or whatever, right? Fortnite is becoming that game for the even younger generation. Why is Fortnite becoming that game instead of them going to Roblox? Is because of the accessibility that Fortnite is in consoles, right? So Roblox just doesn't exist in consoles, or at least you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it doesn't exist in like Xbox, PlayStation, and all these kinds of things. Or Nintendo, but Fortnite does. So these kids are, especially since they are in Nintendo, these kids are now being introduced to Fortnite from a younger generation. So Roblox is in consoles except Nintendo. Okay, so in that case, it's because it's a Nintendo. So in Nintendo, they're gonna be able to, kids play Nintendo consoles and Nintendo games before they play consoles like Xbox or PlayStation, right? Or at least that's how it used to be when I was growing up. And if that's the case, kids are going to get exposed to Fortnite first, form an attachment to Fortnite, and since Fortnite will be a more familiar sandbox game to that of Roblox, they'll keep growing, and then that generation is going to start making more sandbox or games for Fortnite, and then the younger generation is going to grow up on those other sandbox games, and slowly but surely it's going to grow up to the point where it's going to overshadow Roblox. Now, that is a prediction, assuming that Fortnite sticks to the sandbox format or sandbox gaming formula that it seems like they've been going for, and they decide to play the long game and not worry too much about the fact that Roblox is currently king, right? Because another example is before Roblox, before Fortnite, we had Gmod, and Gmod was the exact same thing. And guess what? Gmod was Steam. And now from what we saw earlier, Steam has been overtaken, and now Roblox has gained. Right? So I think it's only natural that Roblox will continue to grow, but at some point, Fortnite will catch up to Roblox and take over it. And then who knows what other game will then eventually pass over Fortnite. All right? We can't predict these things. But yeah, that's how I see the industry, or at least that aspect of the industry, going. Those are the only games that I could, like, Roblox are the only the sandbox games. GTA 6 could also do it. Right, GTA 6 also has some sandbox, like, mini game creature creation type of things, but might not be GTA. You know why I don't think it's gonna be GTA? Because GTA has a mature rating on it, right? So unlike Fortnite, which is E for everybody, and you can have it on Nintendo, and then parents won't have a problem with their kids playing Fortnite, parents will have a problem to let them play GTA because it has more other stuff. GTA is a sandbox game, but for adults, you know. So that's why I don't think GTA would surpass Fortnite, and it's no fault of their own. But if they were to try to fight Fortnite or Roblox and pass them, they would have to suddenly become a E for everyone game, and that would ruin its IP, right? It would literally, people would hate that change because GTA is not that, right? It's actually, I think that the best example of that is Saints Row. So Saints Row, unlike GTA, Saints Row started going way more into the fantasy, way more into this, like, over the top violence, but like it would still be like blood, and you still had some like GTA components on Saints Row, but it's just started being this completely different, exaggerated and non-realistic thing, right? A parody that people stopped liking Saints Row because it no longer was Saints Row. It was now this amalgamation of a bunch of different fantasy aspects, right? Like you had you had superpowers, you had mind control. You could do so many more things that weren't ingrained in reality anymore. They were very fantastical in that sense, and people didn't like it. People ended up. That's why I think we won't be seeing another Saints Row. I think it killed the franchise because although Saints Row was a more comedic version of GTA, Saints Row originally, even though it did sometimes extend its what is it called? Like it's realism. Like it would extend the fabric of what we would consider realistic. It would still within the confines that you could think, oh, that's plausible, right? But then when the newer ones came out, and then now we're talking about having superpowers. Now we're talking about having aliens involved. Now we're talking about all this other like Matrix simulator hoopla. It lost the realism, right? And so people said, this is not what I want, right? I wanted a funny GTA, and I ended up getting a parody of what used to be, right? GTA has kept its realism in a lot of ways, right? Obviously, once again, it does extend the bounds of what you would consider to be realistic. There's a lot of things you can do in GTA, but in general, if you look at the gameplay, if you look at the storylines, if you look at all that kind of stuff, it's still grounded in reality in a lot of ways, which, once again, Saints Row wasn't. So a shift would kill GTA. And Fortnite, I mean, Call of Duty is another example of that, actually. People are complaining because Call of Duty has been what people call Fortnite-ifying itself, where it's becoming less grounded in reality and more fantastical, more sci-fi, more, you know, less realistic, and people are not happy with that. That's why a lot of people have been complaining with with Black Ops 7. The announcement of Black Ops 7, people are like, this is not Call of Duty anymore. What am I seeing? This is not my military shooter anymore. This is just Fortnite with a more realistic looking gun, right? With a non-cartoonish looking Fortnite. That's what people are complaining about. So it's shown that anything that's mature or like grounded in reality should not try to become more fantastical or again more I have to keep saying it's the same word, fantastical elements to the game, because it alienates their audience. And the only reason Fortnite was able to do this is because Fortnite was, in the end of the day, always very cartoonish. It wasn't really it was never based in any type of like realism, right? It wasn't PUBG. It was always meant to be somewhat cartoonish, somewhat fantastical, somewhat surrealistic, right? And I mean, you have the party bus, right? Like a bus that was just flying, and that's how you would drop people. Right? That's not in any way, shape, or form something that you would think, oh yeah, that's something that's realistic. So because it already had that going for it, it shifting to going way off the rails and being so unrealistic and all that kind of stuff is accepted by its audience because that's what they've come to expect. That's not what we've come to expect to GTA, Saints Row, or Call of Duty. And Battlefield 6, the one that's about to come out, has gotten a lot of love from people because it went back to its roots, back to a more grounded military gameplay experience. So, know your audience is basically how that is. To end my point to what what I was originally trying to mention is the only games that I see that could theoretically live forever is as one game, right? Is sandbox games. Those are the only ones that I could theoretically see that would always have a player base and like could if they do a good job could just always keep a steady flow, pretty high value, right? But a normal game, quote unquote normal game, any other genre and any other game that we play out there should have a start and an end. Even Destiny, who had a service game, still had a story, and the story came to an end, right? So everything has to eventually finish, and I think that's perfectly fine. And seeing Manor Lords in this case coming out pretty high, it got a good amount of sales, it got a good amount of players that enjoyed it, and then slowly going down, and then steadily keeping it for a bit, but just overall losing its audience slowly but surely is perfectly fine, because new games will always be coming out, and people don't have infinite time to be investing in games that they've already played. We will always want to play something new, and there will always be moments when we want to go back to play what we consider to be the classics. But that's okay. It's okay for a game to slowly die off and lose, and in this case, get a lower gem score and all that kind of stuff. That's what I feel should be expected and should be what we strive for as in the industry. So with that said, I do have time for I can chew in one more game. Because we haven't seen the performance of many games today, because we've been talking about a lot of different aspects of the gaming industry. So, is there a game you guys would like me to cover last. I know Paleo was suggested, but let me see. I'll have to see what I might have to like manually add it to the marketplace in order for it to appear. Enter the Gungeon. Ooh, I love Enter the Gungeon. Enter the Gungeon is a it's a roguelike. I haven't actually played it, but I've seen a lot of people play it, and I really enjoy it in that sense. But yeah, Enter the Gungeon is a lot of fun. I've played other roguelikes similar to Enter the Gungeon, although I've been reserving my playthrough of Enter the Gungeon till I have more time that I can dedicate to a full run and really enjoy it. But let's go ahead and look at Enter the Gungeon. Just give me a sec. So, if I look, where are you? Where are you? I keep losing you. All right. So let's go ahead and put Enter the Gungeon. Didn't Enter the Gungeon 2 come out, or was it announced for it to come out? I could have sworn I heard something along those lines. No, I might be confusing it with Neon Abyss. Neon Abyss. I did play Neon Abyss 1. And Neon Abyss 2 came out, or demo came out recently. I don't know if the full game came out. But yeah, I might be confusing it with that one. Let's see here. So, Enter the Gungeon. Let's go ahead and check that data. And show that on stream. There we go. So let's put that. And there we go. So, Enter the Gungeon, at least since I've been getting data from it, right? Since I've been capturing, it saw a peak. The highest peak value that I've seen for it is 12.15 gems. But on average, Enter the Gungeon has seen roughly 8 gems overall. That seems to have been its average. It has gone down a tiny bit, where it's now seeing roughly 5 gems per day. And it did go down after Twitch and everything, and now currently sees roughly 3 gems per day, with its most recent value being 2.49 gems. So overall, pretty consistent value. Enter the Gungeon is pretty old. How old is it though? Let me check. Enter the Gungeon. Enter the Gungeon is from 2016. So yeah, it's been almost a decade since Enter the Gungeon came out. So it makes sense that it's seeing these values. Still, for an indie game that has been out for that long, it's seeing pretty decent values. Once again, if you look at the indie game heat meter in the bottom, right? Oh, there we go. If you look at the indie game heat meter, as it's roughly right on average, a little bit lower than average. If we consider that 50 gems is the average, it's a little bit lower than that, but it's still doing pretty damn well. I just realized that all the games we reviewed this stream was affected by June corruption. Yes, because remember, all the games in the marketplace will be affected by the June corruption, because the data for all the data that I had for that month of June was lost. So, like, for any game, you're gonna see June having corrupted it a little bit, because that's just, they're all saved. The database where it's saved, I lost that information for that database for that time span. So that's why you're going to see it for all of them. So, but yeah, but with that addressed, once again, if you look at our, I wouldn't say, so it's not that some games June's values are not corrupted. It's that sometimes the value between there's not a huge drop in value, so you can't really tell too much the corruption. That's the best way I can do it. I can explain it. You won't be able to tell it's that it got corrupted because its performance didn't like plummet. What here you can tell pretty noticeably because of this this giant disparity between these values, right? But had this been over here, you probably wouldn't have noticed it as much. Also, games that I have data from all the way from the beginning of when I started capturing data, so all the way from January 2024. If that game has all that data from January 2024 and that difference between July and May is not that different, you're not going to see in the grand overview of it, you're not going to see that big of a difference. So, but it does exist. Like I don't have, like I want to be clear, I unfortunately do not have data from June. So you're going to see a jump from May, end of May to beginning of July. That is the sad reality of it all. But regardless, that's what we're getting for Enter the Gungeon. Still a pretty fun game. It's definitely one of the more popular indie games out there. One of the more popular roguelike games out there. That people have a lot of content online and like playing, have played a lot. But and it's seeing a decent value. Once again, from 1 to 10, that's still pretty good. So it's maintained a good steady performance all throughout. It's very nice. So that is the last game we're gonna cover today, right? But it seems like today we went through a lot of your guys' suggestions, so that's great. And we didn't go through many of the games on the wheel. Today we just went, I think, just 2 games of the wheel. We did Civ 5, which was already on the wheel, had already been requested, and we did what was it? The one that came out, Galactic, Deep Rock Galactic. That's the other game that came out. Yeah, and overall we have 6 games reviewed overall, but 4 of those were suggested by you guys here live. So it's great. You guys get priority when you're live, and I'll check whatever games you guys suggest. So that's great. I'm happy that you guys tuned in. So, but with that said, I'll see if I can make the these guys transparent and not look the way they do right now, and see if I can add them to the OBS overlay. So yeah, and 4 timestamps. Well, 4 timestamps if you don't want to if you don't want to cycle in between the rants of like the gaming industry topics. So yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll be calling it for today. I'm very thankful for you guys to have tuned in. I enjoy, reading about news about video games. I enjoy playing video games. I will try to start playing maybe on Tuesdays random games, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, had a great time with you guys today, and I will catch you in the next one. I don't know if I can. I will try one last time to see if I can raid anybody. I don't know how this works. I will not be collabing again Tuesday. Indominus will be playing on their end, If anything, I'll try to check out if there's any like indie game, like solo indie game that I could play, and maybe highlight a game that has been recently released, or maybe there's a demo out there. That way I can maybe foster attention to that. But I do plan on collabing with Indominus some other time. If it's not gonna be this next Tuesday. It probably won't be the week after that, but sometime in September, I do plan on collabing with him again, and especially once October runs around, since he likes playing a lot of horror games. I think October is the best month for me to be able to play with him, and that way we can see maybe some new horror games that come out on the month of October, and that way he can play those spooky multiplayer games, and we can play those together. So looking forward to that as well. So yeah, and remember, guys, you have the website. I try to update it every day. I try to keep it. Since I did add your suggestion about in the website, specifying that as of right now, I'm only getting player data, like direct player data from Steam, and that I added a little note there that I'm getting it from Steam, and that I'm working on trying to incorporate other platforms. So yeah, but yeah, the suggestions you guys give and all that kind of stuff, I listen to them and I try to implement them, and I want to make this the best as possible. So I'm always glad for any and all suggestions you guys provide. And so yeah, I want to see if there was anything else that I wanted to cover before I leave. Oh yeah, let's see if I can do a raid. I have no idea how they're done. Every single time I've tried, I failed. So let's see if I am able to do that this time around. Let's see who is Indominus online. Indominus is not online. So let's see. Let's try. There's this VTuber who seems to be playing a horror game, and they have like 13 viewers. So let's see if I'm able to how am I able to raid this? Let's see here. Give me a sec. I was looking at. Let me see here. Right. So I believe I go to my Twitch. I think I can access it through my phone. Give me a sec. Let's see if it works. We'll go ahead and go to the Steam manager. Go to the person that I would like to raid. Manager, raid, and let's go here. Okay, there's the raid. Let's see if it works. Okay. It did not work. Alright. It just doesn't work. I don't know how to get raids activated. It always tells me I can't. I'm wondering if I have to be an affiliate to do it. I don't know. But that's okay. First birthday stream. Gotcha. Last Thursday's stream for Indo was restream of his birthday stream. Gotcha. Well, with that said, thank you much for tuning in. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I will catch you next Thursday. And we can analyze some more games there. I might catch you next Tuesday if I have time, and I can set up the whole indie game to play and all that kind of stuff. But until then, please join the Discord if you want to learn more of my schedule and when I'm going to get online and when I'm going to play. There you can also interact. Sorry, there's echo. But there you can interact with me directly. You can give me suggestions, any things you wanted me to address regarding the gems, or anything you want me to add to the website. You can also you'll also be able to participate there. In the videos, I usually try to add stock ticks. I had stopped doing that, and I plan on doing that again. When I do stock ticks, I like to have a abbreviation of every game, so you'll be able to go with me and come up with those abbreviations together, something that we can all agree as a community. So please join the Discord, check out the website, And check out the YouTube channel. We have more videos there where I go more in depth into the analysis of all these games. But with all of that said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will catch you in the next one. See ya.